to quote Tom Bauer, by saying, he said, look, we all laughed at Samantha and she was right. And everything she said has come true.
Yesterday, she turned 45. That's the number on the cake, the number in the caption, and the age newspapers on both sides of the Atlantic reported without hesitation. But within hours, people underneath royal videos were doing what they seem to do every August, counting backward, checking old dates, and arguing that something doesn't add up. I've watched these comments for years, but this time something stood out. Everyone keeps looking at the father. People say, her dad must know when she was born. Sure, you'd expect a father to remember, but there's another person with an even more direct connection to that day. Her mother, Doria Ragland. According to the public record, Doria gave birth to Meghan on August 4th, 1981, at West Park Hospital in Canoga Park, in California's San Fernando Valley. Yet with all the books, documentaries, court cases, interviews, and endless online debates, Doria's own memory of that day has rarely been at the center of this conversation.
How can you get your age so wrong?
Oh no, what a shame. What a shame. Here I was preparing a special episode of the show to mark Meghan Markle's 45th birthday. I've got Link Lauren, one of Meghan Markle's biggest supporters in the United States of America, and we were just going to celebrate how this lady has turned 45. And Link, it's just such bad news because all of a sudden, this 45th birthday has turned into an absolute disaster for Meghan Markle.
That's pretty wild when you think about it. So instead of chasing every rumor online, we're going straight to what Meghan's family has actually put in writing. Books, court filings, emails that later became public, and statements already on the record. Because when you line those details up, there are some differences worth looking at. That doesn't automatically mean there's some secret being hidden. Families get dates wrong. People mix up ages. Memories get fuzzy. But when the whole argument is about someone's age, even small mistakes become a big deal. And there's also something Meghan herself said about age years before Harry entered the picture that deserves attention. We'll get there because it hits differently once the rest of this timeline is sitting in front of you. Look at how deep people have already gone. Classmates have been checked. Childhood friends' birth years have been compared. People have searched California indexes, company filings in London, and old magazines buried in archives. Everybody became a detective.
If Meghan Markle was adopted, what is there more to her birth than just her age? Could it be that she doesn't know her own age because she's been lied to by her father and mother? Could it be that's why Doria doesn't have a bond with Meghan Markle? Because what mother leaves her daughter when she's 3 or 4 years?
But here's the thing, a document, a sibling's calculation, and a mother's memory of giving birth are different kinds of evidence. That doesn't mean a mother's memory automatically beats an official record. It means first-hand memories can still matter when you're trying to understand why different family accounts don't always line up. One viewer wrote underneath our last video, "Don't understand. Her family lived a life around her. They must know her age. Why are they not telling? Her dad must know when she came into the world." That comment got 59 likes. But once again, everybody was looking toward her father instead of asking what Doria herself remembers. And Doria isn't somebody who has never spoken publicly. In December 2022, she appeared in the Netflix documentary and discussed her experiences. She talked about the moment Meghan told her about Harry and recalled her daughter saying, "Mommy, I'm going out with Prince Harry." Doria also spoke about race, regret, media attention, and feeling unsafe. But that documentary wasn't an investigation into Meghan's birthday, so viewers looking for answers about this particular internet debate didn't get them.
You're wondering, why does her age matter at all? Because her age would also have an impact on her ability to have children. Because if Meghan Markle is 4 years older than what we have been led to believe, it makes it even more difficult to believe that she was able to get pregnant so quickly.
Nobody sat there going through the birth details people online obsess over. The year, the time, the hospital records, or what Doria remembers from that day. That doesn't prove anything suspicious happened. It simply means one of the people with the most direct knowledge of Meghan's birth hasn't been a major voice in this particular argument. Now we get to where things become messy. The family's own numbers. Start with Samantha Markle's book. Samantha gives her version of the family's story and describes Meghan arriving with a colorful line about the great migration of genes bringing the ship Meghan Flower to dock at their house. Then she reportedly gives the date as August 31st, 1981. The year's important. 1981 matches Meghan's documented birth year. But the publicly recorded birthday is August 4th, not August 31st. That's a difference of 27 days. Does that prove Meghan has a different birthday? No. It could easily be a mistake in the book. But if you're publishing a book about your own family, while the internet is already fighting over dates, getting the day wrong is obviously going to make people start asking questions.
August 4th, 40 years ago, Meghan was born.
Her father claims that she was born in 1981. So if she was born in 1981 when Yasmin did that commercial, and like in 1997, she would have been 16 years of age.
Then there's Samantha's legal filing, where she reportedly describes a 17-year age difference between herself and Meghan. Samantha was born in November 1964, while Meghan's documented birth date is August 1981. That's around 16 years and 8 months apart. Rounded to the nearest year, calling it 17 years isn't strange at all. And that's important because some people online point to that number like it's some giant smoking gun. It isn't. People round ages all the time. If anything, this shows how quickly a normal detail can become suspicious once thousands of people are searching for clues. A rounded age gap doesn't rewrite somebody's birth certificate, and it definitely doesn't prove that several hidden years suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Then we have Meghan's own writing. In a private 2018 email that later became part of court proceedings, Meghan reportedly described her father's other children as being 15 and 17 when her parents separated. Samantha, born in 1964, is older than Thomas Markle Jr., who was born in 1966, so people notice that those ages seem mixed up. Even fact-checkers looking into the claims notice the issue, describing the ages as clearly slightly confused, and that's probably the most useful way to look at these family inconsistencies. We've got a book with a different day, a legal filing with a rounded age gap, and an email where sibling ages appear to have been mixed up.
I recall seeing this photo was from an article that came out back on November 11, 2017, before Harry and Meghan got engaged. And that is a super important detail. This article that was published on November 11, 2017 with the headline, "The Look That Hooked Meghan's Dad," the charming high school photos of the woman who could be Prince Harry's mother-in-law showing the sweet eyes and afro that Ms. Markle thinks made her father fall for her. Written by Caroline Graham. Yes, the same Caroline Graham who was responsible for publishing those staged photos that ruined Thomas Markle's relationship with his alleged daughter.
Those are real inconsistencies, but none of them automatically proves that Meghan's documented birth year is false. That's where this story gets twisted online. Somebody spots one wrong number, then another person finds an old photograph, somebody else finds a magazine page, and suddenly ordinary mistakes start getting stitched together into a giant theory. But evidence doesn't work like that. California records identify Meghan's birth as August 4th, 1981. That's much stronger evidence than guessing someone's age from photographs or trying to calculate it from memories decades later. The family mistakes are interesting because they help explain why people keep debating this topic, but they don't erase the official record. If anything, they show how messy family memories can become once you're talking about events from decades ago. Still, there's one theory that refuses to disappear. Under almost every video about Meghan's age, you'll find people claiming she wasn't born in 1981 at all. Some versions say 1976, others say 1977. People point to magazine pages, supposed classmates, old pictures, and their own calculations. Fine. Instead of arguing over how old somebody looks in a photograph, let's test that theory against something much harder to explain away.
For years, one of the biggest mysteries surrounding Meghan Markle's mother behind a wall of silence. Questions about her mother's whereabouts were dismissed, while anyone who dared to investigate too deeply found themselves facing extraordinarily harsh consequences. The article I'm about to show you that the palace failed to bury finally explains Doria's long absence.
Her parents' timeline. If Meghan was really born in 1976 or 1977, what were Thomas Markle and Doria Ragland doing at that time? According to the established timeline, they hadn't even met yet. Accounts placed Thomas and Doria meeting in the late 1970s. Thomas was working in television lighting, while Doria was reportedly doing temporary work at the studio. Their relationship moved quickly, with reports describing a romance of roughly 6 months before they married. And unlike vague memories about someone's age, the wedding has a specific date, December 23, 1979. They married at a temple on Sunset Boulevard. Accounts describe a monk in orange robes conducting the ceremony. Doria was 23 and Thomas was 35. Years later, a relative even told a newspaper that members of the family hadn't heard about Thomas until the wedding invitations arrived. And that's where the 1976 or 1977 theory runs into a serious wall. To accept those years, you'd also need an explanation for how Meghan could have been born to Thomas and Doria before the documented timeline says they even met.
According to Mr. Markle, Meghan Markle lived with him from the age of 10 until she graduated from high school. Meghan Markle alleges many times that her mother lived just 40 minutes down the road from her. Given LA, that is actually a very short distance. The high school principal from Meghan Markle and all the teachers did not know that Doria was Black because they had never met her. Mr. Markle was single-handedly raising Meghan Markle. No vestiges of Doria. Why wouldn't a devoted mother go to meet the teachers, which is mandatory in the state of California? Only one parent has full custody and guardianship of the daughter, which seems to be the case for Mr. Markle.
That's a much bigger problem than somebody writing the wrong day in a book or rounding 16 years and 8 months up to 17. It doesn't mean every detail in this family's history is perfectly clear. Clearly it isn't. There are mixed up dates, confusing ages, and memories that don't always match perfectly. But there's a huge difference between noticing those inconsistencies and proving that an official birth year is wrong. And once you separate those two things, this whole controversy starts looking very different. 6 months back from that December 1979 wedding puts their reported first meeting somewhere around the middle of that year. Now put the two timelines side by side. The documented timeline is simple. Thomas and Doria meet in 1979, marry that December, and Meghan is born in August 1981, around 19 months after the wedding. Nothing strange there. But the alternative theory floating around online claims Meghan was actually born in 1976 or 1977. And that's where it gets messy, because those dates would put her birth 2 or 3 years before the reported story of her parents even meeting. That's not a small rounding mistake. For that theory to work, you'd have to change far more than Meghan's birthday. You'd have to rewrite the timeline of how her parents met, when their relationship began, and basically the whole early family story. And I want to be very clear about that. I'm not saying an internet theory becomes true just because some details look confusing. The stronger public evidence supports 1981. What I'm saying is that if somebody seriously argues for 1976 or 1977, then they also need to explain the massive problem created by Thomas and Doria's reported relationship timeline. You can't move one date backwards several years and pretend everything around it stays exactly where it was. If Meghan really had arrived years earlier, then the familiar story about the studio meeting, the quick romance, the December 1979 wedding, and the baby arriving afterward couldn't all fit together in the same order. That's why the claim needs actual evidence, not guesses based on photographs or old comments. And then there's Doria herself. According to publicly reported dates, Doria was 24 when Meghan was born on August 4th, 1981, and she turned 25 less than a month later. She was a young mother experiencing the birth of her daughter, so it's reasonable to think she would remember that period clearly. But memory still isn't the same thing as official documentation, and mothers aren't normally expected to publicly prove their children's birthdays just because strangers online demand an answer. That's the important distinction here. Doria's lack of a public statement about Meghan's exact birth year isn't evidence that something is being hidden. She simply doesn't appear to have made this particular internet controversy part of her public comments. Doria did speak publicly in the 2022 Netflix documentary, saying she was ready to have her voice heard. She had cameras in front of her and a huge global audience, but the documentary focused on other parts of the family's story. It wasn't a birth date investigation. She wasn't sitting there being asked to verify dates, hospital details, or internet theories. And maybe that's all there is to it. Still, after years of people arguing over Meghan's age, it's interesting that the debate continues while the person who actually gave birth to her has largely stayed away from it. Other family members have written books, gone to court, given interviews, and publicly argued their side. Doria has mostly kept herself out of that circus. Then there's another royal birth story that has created its own wave of online questions. Harry's description of Archie's birth in his memoir. Harry described an emotional hospital scene involving music, candles, and medical details, and readers immediately started picking the story apart. One commenter wrote, "She gave birth in hospital at age 42, 43, after 2 epidurals, and was home in her bed 2 hours later." Another wrote, "You can't get 2 epidurals, sorry." And then came perhaps the most unexpected question. Do hospitals even allow patients to have lighted candles in their rooms? Seems like a fire hazard to me. Harry's account reportedly described battery-operated candles, so there wasn't an actual open flame. Still, people weren't only questioning the medicine, they were questioning how cinematic the whole story sounded. But here's the key point. Those details come from Harry's memoir, meaning we're reading his personal recollection of the day. A memoir is a person's version of events, not an independent medical report. That doesn't mean Harry's account is false, and unusual-sounding medical details shouldn't automatically be treated as impossible without evidence. It simply means a memoir and a hospital record aren't the same thing. And we're not dragging the children into this either. They're children. They didn't choose public life or these arguments, and speculation about them isn't necessary. The only thing worth examining here is how the adults chose to describe their own experiences publicly. So where does that leave this story after Meghan's 45th birthday? We have official records supporting August 4th, 1981, alongside family writings containing some inconsistent dates and ages, plus old material that people online continue debating. Those inconsistencies can be interesting without proving that the official birth date is false. A wrong date in a book can be a mistake. A 16-year and 8-month gap can reasonably become 17 when somebody rounds it. Sibling ages can get mixed up in an email. None of that magically proves a different birth year. But once people spot enough small mistakes, they start looking harder. And that's exactly why this debate refuses to disappear. And now we get to one of the most interesting things Meghan herself said about age. Back in 2015, years before Harry, when she was an actress promoting her work, Meghan spoke directly about the pressure women in entertainment face around getting older. She said, and I'm giving you the whole thing, I think as women actors, the industry can assume they have a shelf life. I'm always told, don't say your age. I'm 33, and I'm really comfortable with that. If anyone has a problem, then it's their problem, not mine. That quote matters, but maybe not for the reasons some people online think. Meghan openly explained that actresses can face pressure to hide their age because Hollywood often treats women differently as they get older. Then she immediately rejected that pressure by saying, I'm 33, and I'm really comfortable with that. That's a pretty direct statement. If anything, she was saying that people around her told her not to reveal her age, but she wasn't going to play along. And if she was 33 during that interview before her August 2015 birthday, that lines up with an August 1981 birth date. So the quote shouldn't be twisted into proof that she secretly changed her age. The full context actually points in the opposite direction. And that's where we have to separate an interesting inconsistency from actual proof. There are family dates worth questioning, strange little differences worth discussing, and old stories that keep getting dragged back into the spotlight. But there's also an official record and Meghan's own on-camera statements supporting the commonly reported timeline. If somebody wants to argue for a completely different birth year, the burden is on that claim to explain the evidence that doesn't fit. Not simply point at a photograph and say somebody looks older. Now I want to know where you land. Do you think the little inconsistencies in these family accounts are simply normal mistakes that have been blown way out of proportion? Or do you think there's still part of this story that deserves a closer look? Drop your verdict in the comments because some of the sharpest details we've covered have come straight from viewers digging through old interviews and records. And if you enjoy digging beneath the headlines and separating what can actually be verified from what the internet only claims, subscribe to Crown Whispers and turn on notifications. Hit the like button too. It helps more people find the channel and join the conversation. There's plenty more coming. And whenever the royal headlines start whispering one story while the receipts seem to tell another, you already know where we'll be looking.